I'm sure someone's listening going, this is bullshit. But for me, right? I mean, for me, that makes so much sense. And if you go back and listen to the last podcast episode, which we're going to air, you'll hear me saying exactly that. That it's time for me to speak my truth. It's time for me to be honest. It's time for me to show up. It's time for me to just be me. And this step into public life has been a dance. And that's really reaffirming to know that just go do it. Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of Real Money. I am 44 years old. I will be 45 in November. And so I'm starting to refer to my age as like a 0.4. So I'm 4.4. This is version 4.4 of Real Money. We have gone through lots of iterations of the show. And in this relaunch this summer, I'm really excited to bring it back to basics and to have guests on that I want to learn from. And I think that you'll benefit from learning from too. So with that, I'd like to introduce my guest, Rosalyn Acosta, today. Rosalyn reached out to me on LinkedIn wanting to network, and I really don't respond to a whole lot of people on LinkedIn, but something about her message caught my eye. And I could tell pretty quickly that she's authentic, she means what she says, and she's doing really incredible work on the planet today. And so I want you to learn from Rosalyn, and also to know about the work that she's doing so that you can work with her or find someone yourself. Because what I've realized in the money world is that it's a whole body, mind, and spirit experience. If you're looking to have the healthiest relationship with money as humanly possible, you've got to do the work. And it's not just budgeting. Of course, I don't teach budgeting. You know that already by listening to me, but it's really, what is the deeper level and layer of my relationship with money? What's causing the pain or the stress? And Rosalyn, I think, is here to provide some really incredible insight for what you can do to holistically heal, not just your relationship with money, but your life, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Rosalyn is a Reiki master, shamanic energy medicine practitioner, eco-wellness travel planner. I love that. I want to talk about that today. And the founder of Live, Heal, Travel. Her mission is to illuminate lives that inspire positive change by empowering individuals to step into their limitless potential. Rosalyn offers a variety of services, including Reiki, shamanic energy healing, which we're going to dig into first, corporate mindfulness workshops, eco-wellness retreats, which I'm super stoked about that you're doing that. She has a master's in ecotourism with over 15 years experience supporting local communities and ecosystems worldwide, which has impacted organizations like San Francisco Human Rights Commission, CREST at Stanford University, World Wildlife Fund, United Nations World Tourism Organization, and others. Beyond her healing practice, she's a former professional dancer and mother of 3 and nature lover. Thank you for being here today.
No, thank you, Lisa. I'm so excited to chat with you today, and I really appreciate this opportunity to connect with your community as well. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Just from all aspects of your experience in life, I love and I honor and I value. And I am so excited to start with the shamanic healing. You're the first. I haven't had someone come on and talk about Reiki specifically either. So when it comes to money, let's lean into shamanic energy. You explained to me, you explained it to me a little bit before we had a call before the show, but I'd love for you to share with the audience, what is it, and how does it help? What is it, and how does it help people?
Okay. Yeah, I want to go back a little bit, just assuming maybe your listeners may wonder, well, what are we even treating? So I want to talk about our energetic body first, because that's the focus. So what I tell my kids too, I really have learned to simplify things, that we have 2 bodies. We have our physical body condensed into matter, right? And then we have our energetic body. And so energy healers, whether you're a Reiki practitioner or shamanic or whatnot, you're working on the energetic body. And another way to think of that is you're working with your clairsenses too, which are you can kind of just call them your heightened senses. So that's like clairvoyance, clairaudience, different ones, right? And then, and then another way to describe that the visible, our biological eyes can only see about, depending on the source, like 0.0035 or 0.05 of the visible electromagnetic spectrum. So just to put it into context, like our biological eyes can see very little. And so you're relying on your other senses to tap into the energetic realm, your energy body. So that's kind of what we're doing. So then when you look at it from a standpoint of, for example, Reiki and Shamanic, for example, Reiki is working with the chakra system. And I know most people, even if you're not like a yogi or whatnot, there are probably moments that you've seen a picture of these beautiful colored, like the rainbow, the colors of the rainbow, these centers throughout your body. And those are chakras, and they're actually physiological elements of the body. It's where an endocrine gland meets a nerve plexus. So you have the slow analog hormonal endocrine, and then you have the fast electrical of your brain. So that happens at 7 points in the body. So like the heart chakra, the throat chakra. So we have 7 points. And so working with Reiki, for example, you're using the Reiki energy to bring those in balance. You're really working on balancing the hormonal and the chemical systems of your body and clearing up the blockages. And then same with shamanic energy medicine. I kind of look at it as kind of like the surgeon of energy healing, where you can, yes, you're also clearing up, like in Reiki, you're clearing up blockages, but shamanic practice can really pinpoint, kind of like a surgeon, pinpoint more of the specificity of what's happening and kind of go in there and target something really specific and using different techniques. So it's kind of, it's because shamans are trackers. So you're really tracking in the energy field and seeing more specifically what's going on. So those are how the two work together nicely.
Thank you for that explanation. What would be an example of something specific that you're tracking or you're looking for?
Yeah, so in the context of, say, finances. So finances are deeply rooted to your root chakra, which is at the base of the spine. And that's your sense, in general, there's a lot that goes with it, but it's your sense of security, of home. So for whatever reason, if that was derailed at some point, then that could be an aspect that you might struggle with in life. And your chakras are either, when they're out of balance, they're either usually excessive or deficient. And sometimes they can fluctuate between the extremes. But for example, a deficient root chakra, when it's in terms of finances, it could mean that you have a hard time accumulating wealth, that you have, or else you might just spend, right? And it's just not very well planned out. On the other side, an excessive one, you could be more like a hoarder, or you could have a lot of financial success, but you could also still be coming from a place of scarcity, a belief of scarcity. So kind of like, for that, I would think of like Scrooge McDuck, right? Swimming in his vault of coins, and he has so much excess, but he still feels like he doesn't have enough. So that could be an excessive root chakra pertaining to finances.
Let's stay there, because those are two very common experiences that my clients come to me with. The excess and the deficiency. Is there something, so I teach in neurolinguistic programming, we teach about what happens before the age of 7, and that what happens before the age of 7 has such an impact on us. Now that's neurologically, but I'm guessing that's connected in the root chakra too. Are you talking about like extreme scarcity or fear when you're young?
Yeah. So the root chakra, developmentally, it begins early on, right? It's the first one that forms. So in the womb, and it kind of peaks around 4 to 5 months old. So yeah, if there's things happening at that time, definitely it could affect the health of your chakra. And there's also another aspect too that people maybe a stretch for some, but there's a correlation of past lives too. So you could also have something that you're bringing into this life. So you could be, if you're running into blocks, you're clearing up your root chakra, you're just like, what's going on? It's like, it's clear every time I go to someone or I do it myself, and there's something deeper seated than it's from a time before. And so you have to clear that up as well.
That's intense. And I think that there are probably some people listening going, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right. When we think about money, so many people don't think about money in that way. I think that the industry is changing, but when it comes to looking at even past lives, how do you help people even accept the fact that that's a reality or a truth?
Yeah. And you don't have to believe it. You can just keep working on the energetic level. And that's the thing about working with chakras, right? It's non-denominational, right? Everybody, it's something
Yeah.
universal. The reason why there's Sanskrit names for every chakra, the 7 chakra system, it's because the 7 chakra system is what we use. It's most familiar. And the Vedas, which is a Sanskrit text from thousands of years ago in India, that's the first written document talking about the chakras. So that's kind of why you'll see them using the Sanskrit name to describe it as well. But in the Andes and Tibet, they have a 5 chakra system. All these different cultures around the world, they do have different systems, but it's all the same. It's just 5 chakra, 7 chakra. So that's why we use the 7 chakra system in the West, because it's the most well known and documented as well.
So let's say someone in their eyes has tried everything.
Mm-hmm.
They've tried budgeting. They've tried not spending. They've tried the baby steps. They've tried whatever they think that they could do with their money to get a different result. Either they can't hold on to money or they want to feel happier with money. And they are listening to you. What would be something that they would start with you to help get under and into, get to the actual problem, and then work with you via shamanic practices, Reiki, to be able to shift their relationship with money, heal the relationship with money?
I would say just come with an open mind for starters. And if nothing's been working so far, then give your energetic body a try. Like take a look at that. And actually the energetic body governs about 95% of what we do, our unconscious mind. Our conscious is only in control 5% of the time. So let's step into that 95% realm of what's going on, your unconscious, your energy system, and see there's something deeply rooted there as to why you're having these habitual patterns, these blocks, and then if people were really surprised, then you'll find it benefits in so many different aspects. You may be coming for finances, and then you're like, oh, there's also this other aspect that's getting cleared up as well, and it's really a nice journey, and it's not scary. It's I don't know. I just feel like it's a gentle process, but it's very profound, and you feel even after I work with people for one session, like whether it's in person or virtual, like their complexion is brighter and glowier. They just feel more centered even after one session. So it's pretty profound. It's very subtle though. But.
So when I think of shamanism, I think of probably something that's not that. And like witchy. I don't know if I know I have some people that are in the healing space that call themselves witches. Also I've had experience. I haven't myself done ayahuasca, but I think I asked you this on our call, but there are people who are shamans who do ayahuasca ceremonies. What is it actually like then? Are you just like laying on a table and you're using different techniques? You're using different sounds? Walk me through that experience.
So with the shamanic energy medicine that I did this training, and the founder of it, he studied for 30 plus years with the Quero shamans in the Andes and then the other shamans in the Amazon. So he had never intended on going this path, but it was all presented to him. And he also comes from a background in medical anthropology. So I really like the fusion of the neuroscience with the shamanic practices. And it just kind of brings, as he says, a neo-shaman perspective for today. It's more relevant, easier to digest for Westerners today. And so what it would entail, similar to a session, like a Reiki session. So Reiki session, you're just on a massage table. For the shamanic, it's different than Reiki. Reiki, you can just receive and relax. Shamanic, you have to be a little more participatory. You still get to relax, but it's still a little bit more participatory. So we would start with an illumination. So you'd come and say, I don't know, feeling stuck, right? You're just picking something, right? And I just can't get out of this feeling of stuck, and I don't know what it is. So we would just focus on the one thing, right? And initially pinpoint which chakra is affected and clear that up pertaining to feeling stuck. And then when we get more information, and it could evolve more, like we might do more techniques, but then it's like clearing it up and then bringing light to it and healing to it, and then also just helping it clear it up.
Okay. I want to try it.
Yeah. So you always start with, and so with shamanic practices, you're going around the medicine wheel. So whether you're an indigenous shaman from North America, South America, or whatnot, it's going around the medicine wheel. And people may not use that term, but we've all experienced that in different times in our lives where we're like the first part, the South, we're shedding what is no longer serving us, right? Just getting rid of all those titles, the baggage. You need to get rid of it so you can kind of be reborn, right? And then moving all along the medicine wheel and like getting rid of fear. What is all this fear that's holding you back? And then also reminding you, going up to the north where you can remember to drink of the nectar of life, the joy of life, because you weren't put on this earth to suffer, right? And it's just this transformation that you go through the wheel, and you're going through these different phases, and then you go on to the next phase, and then you come out like a beautiful, transformed inner light. Your inner light just coming out, and it's a nice journey.
I like nice.
Yeah.
I feel like I've been in this, and I think it's cyclical too. Like you don't go through it just once in your lifetime. It reminds me of right before my divorce where I was going through the shedding the layers and the identity and everything, and then coming around finally what feels like probably 5 years after the divorce. So for me, it felt like it was a long time, but in the grand scheme of eternity, probably not, of that healing process, but people repeat that process. It's not just one time and done. Yeah.
Yeah. So, even doing the shamanic training, that was the whole point, is also not only learning everything, but doing it as well. So, because you can't be a healer and help others if you haven't done your own work, because then you would just project your own issues onto someone else. So,
yeah, I love that. Yeah, I think that that's the best kind of practitioner, is we do the work first. So we know it, we appreciate it for ourselves, we can speak into it, and then we help other people do that. For you, so you were on this path of, and I know I'm not going to say it technically, I'm going to try to find it really quick. You were on this path of the eco wellness travel planner.
Well, that's what I'm integrating now. So I was on a path. Of sustainable travel for a long time. So in another sense, like bringing wellness to the world through travel, right? Through the sustainability for conservation aspects, and then also the aspects of helping the local communities so they benefit from the revenue generating from tourism. So I was really drawn to that for a long time. And so I traveled and did work in Papua New Guinea or Tanzania or different places, and just was really drawn to that. And now I'm integrating my background in sustainability by just offering eco-wellness retreats, and at which I'm launching some family eco-wellness retreats next year. So I'm really excited about that.
Okay. So, but then what shifted into, what inspired you to go the Reiki shamanism route?
Yeah.
Did you experience it for yourself? Did you need to go through healing yourself first?
Well, actually, so I know a lot of people did a career pivot during COVID. And so that's kind of what I've always wanted to also get into the wellness field in whatever aspect. So I've always been a yogi since as long as I can remember. Even when I was a kid, I used to do yoga stretches that I didn't know were yoga stretches before bed, right? So I always thought, oh, maybe I'm going to be a yoga instructor, but I just never really fully figured it out. And then COVID hit, and just the energy healing was kind of thrust into my life one after another. So Reiki and then shamanic, and it's just, and it also, yes, I needed it too. So it was a big transformation for myself. And it was also a coming home for me, because I've always been very heightened with my clairsenses ever since I was little, and just not knowing how to listen to them properly or to use them properly. Like I always, when I was little, wanted a teacher, and I wish, I never really fully understood things. So for me, it was a safe place. Like, okay, I can now speak my voice. I can now use these abilities that I've always been really strong to actually help others. So it's just been a nice coming home for me, like a whole full circle.
That's so cool because I have so many women that come into my world where money is the pain point. That's where their inauthenticity or something that's off in their life is that's where that's coming out as a struggle or the tangible aspect of it. But after we do the digging, we realize that there's something else off in her life that's causing the financial stress. And it does require the deeper look inward. But to hear you say as a young girl, you knew you had these gifts intuitively, but that took a big shift.
Well, I feel like everybody has these abilities for starters. And it's just a matter of, just like with anything else, you cultivate it, you strengthen it the more you use it. And kids, especially before they become self-critical, before they hit those ages, right? Their internal world is huge. So they can just access it a lot easier than adults, I feel like, where they don't even necessarily know it. So that's another reason why I'm also compelled to work with youth, because I see the value of, if they can continue to cultivate and feel this, it's safe to be in this space and express themselves, their inner selves, then that's going to save so much unnecessary heartache and drama if they can stay true to their inner selves. So I really feel that's powerful for the younger generation. Mm-hmm.
I totally agree. I get so many questions. Almost every single time I speak in public now, I get one person asking me about their child, because I'm talking about the 0 to 7 and the age, like that impressionable age. Whatever's going on around your life is what's imprinting on you. And then parents ask me almost immediately, well, how can I make sure my child has a healthy relationship with money? And to your point, it's like, well, first you need to work on yourself. Do the work yourself. Heal yourself, and then work it back into your kids. How are you teaching your kids? You mentioned your son before we hopped on live. How are you teaching your kids how to take care of themselves and manage their own energy?
Well, I just being open and talking about it, I think that helps a lot, right? Because when I was a kid, I felt like I would tell my mom little things, like I had, this experience, or, or my sisters, but I still kept a lot to myself because I felt like, I don't know, I didn't hear other people talking about it. And so that's my first thing, is just letting them know. And like, oh, I had this Reiki session, and I'll share a bit about it, not divulging like confidentiality, but just, and my oldest son, and because I have a 5 and a 7 and an 11-year-old child, and then they'll listen in and, it's interesting. And I don't know, I like to converse with them about it. And or if it's about the chakras. One day my son was having a meltdown, my 7-year-old, and I was like, let's take a minute. And then I kind of assess things. I was like, oh, this is why that chakra is acting this way. And he's like, ooh, because there's a pendulum that you can use that can also to verify things. And it was just going crazy. And he was like, And then my 5-year-old daughter, she's like, let me use it on my doll. And I'm like, oh, interesting experiment. Notice how it's not moving anymore. She's like, why isn't it not moving? Well, the doll doesn't have any chakras, so it's not moving. And she's like, oh. So it's just fun to incorporate things in, so they just feel comfortable talking about it. And we have them have dream journals. So our 5-year-old can't write down, but she'll draw pictures and then kind of dictate to us. And so it turns into this elaborate story.
Okay, so before today, you had offered to do some Reiki for me. And so we sent you over what it was that I was working on. I think that to close out the show, for someone to get a taste of how this works, even virtually, would you be willing to share what you discovered in that session? So just for the listener, whether you're listening to it, we didn't do it live, but I sent you my information, and then you did a session yesterday.
Yes. And I just like to share with people that virtual is just as profound as in person. And when you're working with energy, because there's no time and space, it doesn't matter, right? So to kind of figure that out, like I tell people, well, we can use our cell phones and talk to people. We don't see the radio waves, but it's working, right? So the same thing with energy healing. You may not be able to see, but it's it's working. So I'm going to open my notes to jog my memory. So, but yours was quite interesting. Oh yes. Okay. So I did it last night. I did about a 30-minute session. So at the beginning, yeah, there was this. So at the beginning, I do an initial read, and like different chakras will reveal themselves to me in different ways. And right at the beginning, your throat chakra was very prominent. There was this tiny white light that kind of wanted to come out of your throat. And then when I checked your other chakras, like your first, your root, your third, your solar plexus, your fifth, and your seventh, they were different levels of deficiency. And then sometimes your heart chakra would be okay, and then sometimes it would fluctuate. And then there was this energetic kind of fog over your third eye, kind of blocking your sight. And then your crown chakra had this hard encasing covering it. So that was kind of interesting. So that was my initial read. So then after that, I went to releasing the chakras, so kind of clearing them out, opening them up so they can expel, right? Get rid of what's not supposed to be there, the blockages, right? And so it was really interesting when I went to your first chakra, your root chakra, you were legless, like your physical body was legless. And so it was metaphorically, it was kind of like you were trying to stay grounded without any legs, if that makes sense. So it was, so yeah, I just felt like this sense of grounding was very hard for you. So then when I moved up to your second chakra, which is your sacral, it's a little bit below your belly button area. And that one felt so exhausted. Like it was apparent that your sacral chakra was compensating for your deficient root chakra. So that was like a feeling of why you were feeling burnt out. And then also our sacral chakra is tied into our fight or flight mode. So it felt like that chakra had been working overtime, also affecting it, hence more exhaustion, right? Because it's not the one that's supposed to be grounding you. So it was compensating for the other, also getting more of that fight or flight. So it just felt so weary. Your third chakra just felt a little weak. It wasn't as apparent as the others. And I said your heart chakra was fluctuating. And then your throat chakra, it just really wants to express this new self, your inner being. Like that's what I saw with this white light. It was just, it's wanting to come out and express this other part of you that you don't maybe feel like you've been able to express so much. And then I worked on clearing up the fog on your third eye, because that's really like your intuition, you're connecting you to some of your clairsenses. And same with the crown, is connecting you to divine energy, right? So there's the blockages. I always, whatever you prefer to call them, I always call on angels, guides, helpers to come in, your helpers, right? Your guides to come in. So there's one, I'll just call angel, that was present there the whole time and was really trying to help you. And once I release some of the energy in your chakras and the blockages, then it helps soften your energy field. So we all have this energy field around us that's also informed by our chakras. So it felt like yours had become a protective armor almost. But by doing so, it was also like, it felt like it was encasing you. It wasn't. So kind of like how you think of a tree, they're so strong, right? But if there's a tree that's too rigid and brittle, it'll easily snap in a storm. So they're strong but flexible. So it's like you think of that. Your energy field is strong, it protects you, but it's also flexible and supple, right? So I felt that once your chakras were releasing things, then your energy field softened, and your angel was able to assist more. So I also got an interesting metaphorical image that your body was kind of buried. So it's kind of similar to how a paleontologist will unearth bones by brushing away the dirt around the bones, and then they can lift it out. So I felt like I was kind of trying to do that to your physical body, just loosening it. And even though your chakras were doing well, your angel came to your crown at one point and blew in all this energy, just making your chakras even more vibrant and bright and balanced. So that was all there. but your physical body was just still felt just kind of rooted into the earth. And so there was also like an image of there was another celestial being that kind of also at one point curled up your physical body and then just pulled you out. So all of these images, it just really shows me that you're like in this phase, like if you'd say around the medicine wheel, you're in the first phase, the serpent phase, where you're just, all you have to do is step out. Like all this stuff you need to just shed out because like it's really holding you and back. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So
makes total
like
sense.
so even with your angel just clearing up your chakras and like you're ready and all you have to do is it just kept the sense of just you have to step up. All you have to do is step up, get out, and then all this stuff will be free of. And this new you can kind of just step out of that encasing of your body, if that makes sense. And so it's time to give yourself the
Wow.
chance to get up and let it all go. And then you can step into this new inner self, this new, your true inner self of what's been happening right now. And you probably know what's been
Yeah.
metamorphosizing inside of you, but it's time to like let that out. And that's, I feel like also why that throat chakra, the light was there, because it just wants you to speak your true self.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Speak my truth. How cool is that? That makes so much sense. And I'm sure someone's listening going, this is bullshit. But for me, right? I mean, for me, that makes so much sense. And if you go back and listen to the last podcast episode, which we're going to air, you'll hear me saying exactly that. That it's time for me to speak my truth. It's time for me to be honest. It's time for me to show up. It's time for me to just be me. And this step into public life has been a dance. And that's really reaffirming to know that just go do it. Do it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I'm safe. It's going to be okay. It's perfect.
Oh, nice.
And I'm writing my second book right now. So I think that also is like, yeah, the book is ready to be born. I just have to now sit down and let it flow through me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I find like, even if I don't want to call them the skeptics or doubters, but for me, that's why this never gets old, because I get to go with beginner's mind every time I do a session. Every session's different. And yes, there are some commonalities, like the counterforce of a root chakra is fear. So I always see like a lot of fear in the lower part of people's bodies because of that. But so there's similarities, but just as each person is unique, each session is different. And just like each day is different too, with the same person, it can change each time. Just like when, how some days you feel really happy, some days you feel off, like it all changes. And it's nice to just have that beginner's mind all the time. And then when we discuss, like we just did, that further reinforces the synchronicity of what I'm picking up on and what you are experiencing. Because I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last, but it's actually good that I didn't hear your last episode. So
yeah, it hasn't aired yet. So that's what I'm saying. Like we're filming this, but yeah, it's going to come out and it's going to echo all of that we just talked about. So that's so reaffirming. And thank you for being so generous and doing that energy work on me. I woke up this morning. So the next day, because you did this yesterday, I woke up this morning feeling very grounded. And what kept resonating over and over again was Wayne Dyer's. I've been listening to Wayne Dyer a lot lately, and he talks about how all of our unconscious is one. We're all connected. And I just kept hearing over and over again, be here now, be here now, be here now.
That's beautiful.
Like stop trying to run. I think I've spent so much time running, and my whole body woke up this morning saying, no, it's okay. You can be present. You don't need to run anymore.
Yeah, that's kind of what I felt too. Like after you step up and come out of yourself, it just really wants you to, before you move on, just enjoy that time of being free, right? That really also was something that was
be free. We're gonna close there, but before we do, what's your money personality? Because I know you took your money personality test.
I'm not sure if I did it properly. So because I also defaulted to number 3 when I felt more neutral. Is that correct? But, do I tell you my top 2 totals.
What's your top?
The
Let's just
first
go
one
with the
is
top one.
the top one is CC, and then DD.
So CC is our saver money personality. This is our financially conscientious money personality. Our savers typically don't love spending money. They love saving money. But when healed and when in their strength, there's balance between saving and spending. But these are definitely our, when we're off, those could be our Donald Ducks for sure. Those are cheap chips, which is UCC. So, I'll send you a whole video based on it so you can watch it. And for my listeners too, you can learn your money personality by clicking on the link here in this episode, even lisachastain.com/quiz. And everything that we open the show with today about your root chakras, I think is so important. And it's a question for you to be in of where are you now? Where are you today? And it's not where you're going. It's not your destiny. It's just where you are today. There's who you are authentically. And there's the coming into yourself, which is a whole journey and a process. And having people like Rosalyn, myself on your team, helping you heal, helping you move forward, helping you grow and expand and step into the light of your amazingness. That's the work that I think you and I are both on in just very different ways. So thank you for the work that you're doing today.
Definitely send me that video. I'm really.
I will. Okay, great. So how can our listeners find you?
Yeah, my website is Live Heal Travel. So just those words, and HEAL travel.com. Yeah, so that has everything that I offer, ways to get a hold of me, and feel free to just schedule a call if you are curious and want to learn more. You definitely, reach out.
Yeah, you have a very grounding energy, a very safe grounding energy. Oh, I love that.
Thank you.
Even though I'm so also you have a special offer for listeners. You can book one virtual 20-minute energy healing session and receive the second one for free. Thank you for that.
Just mention the podcast.
It's the perfect opportunity to experience the power of distance Reiki. And whether you're new to energy healing, why not? Why not? And we have the link here that I put in the why not. You didn't write that, but I did. I put in the link in the show notes too. So you can grab that link and schedule your 20-minute energy healing session. What do you have to lose? You have everything to gain. Now is the time on the planet for women to be leaders financially and beyond. And we will do the work as we're meant to as women. And I believe so profoundly that the work that you're doing is healing, and it's taking our entire world to the next level of healing. So thank you so much for who you are and what you do. And we will definitely stay in touch. And I look forward to hearing about what our listeners are learning, and give us feedback from the show too, what you learned today, what you loved from today, and reach out to Rosalyn. Any final thoughts for the audience?
Well, I just like to remind people that someone such as myself, I just help remind you of who you really are, and I can help guide you through that process, but I don't heal you. Like, the only person who can truly heal you is yourself, right? But I can definitely give you tools to make that process easier and jumpstart it. But I always like to empower people with tools they can take on their own, and because it's ultimately up to you if you want to break through and fly, be free.
I totally agree. It's all up to you, and we are here to support you wherever you are in your journey. Thank you so much for being here today, Rosalyn. Hey, thanks so much for being here today. I hope this conversation was super inspiring for you. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, and if you're looking to take the first step in my world, I know that you need to know your money personality. Join me on the adventure of knowing what your money personality is and how you can live your healthiest life financially. Do that